Thank you very much for staying. Welcome back. Now, the National Digital Property Addressing System should improve the business environment and ultimately transform the economy. That's according to President Akufo-Addo, who is also expecting the initiative to revive collapsed businesses. The system, designed by Ghanaian information technology firm Vocacom, will be hosted by the National Information Technology Agency, NITA. Speaking at the launch, President Akufo-Addo noted the initiative is part of reforms towards economic growth.
All individuals and properties will be able to obtain their own unique addresses as we strive to build a credible national address register. National database creates an avenue for new businesses and industry. I urge all stakeholders, ministries, security agencies, health authorities, educational institutions, lands commission, financial institutions, private sector operators, to liaise with the Ministry of Communications and Ghana Post. The administration of lands will receive a major boost with the property addressing system. It should help provide a solution to the menace of land guards and the other unpleasant experiences currently associated with investing in land and real property. We will now have an immovable, digital, unique signature of lands. I applaud Ghana Post for leading the way in the implementation of this initiative. They showed us the way to the world once.
Now, moving on, economist at the Economic Department of the University of Ghana, Dr. Ebo Texon, has charged government to implement alternative measures to cushion the economy from collapse whilst it begins the implementation of the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda. The agenda, which was launched today, is a key government policy to move beyond receiving aid from partners for development projects. Speaking at the launch, Dr. Ebo Texon advised that government, among others, must cut public expenditure as well as issue diaspora bonds to cushion the economy.
Ghana has been able to use trade to grow the economy at a sustained level that they no longer need aid. And so it's a good case study for us to also try to see if we can grow our economies at that level so that we can look beyond aid. And also the fact that our donors are changing their client base. Most low-income countries have graduated into low-middle-income country status, and the fact that even if you talk about poverty, poverty is now endemic in more of the low-middle-income countries like India, Nigeria, and so on and so forth. So if aid is going to go there, then these are the economies that are going to attract the aid. So we need to reposition ourselves and look beyond aid. Now, what are the alternatives? There are two types of alternatives: the foreign alternatives and then our domestic alternatives. The foreign alternatives is to seek foreign borrowing. Like I've mentioned, with a debt to GDP ratio of 67.5 as at the end of May, expected to be about 70.5 at the end of this year, it is not a viable alternative for us to rely on external borrowing. Foreign investment is volatile, but then it's an option that we can take a look at. But before we attract the needed investment, either FDI or portfolio investment, we need to make our environment very business friendly. We need to ensure that we maintain macroeconomic stability. Businesses will only come in when the economy is stable. We have some political stability, which is always there for us. And so it's the macroeconomic stability that is important. We need, of course, to build a business-friendly environment. I mean, as at the end of last year, most of the indicators of doing business in Ghana have deteriorated. And we need, as soon as possible, to put in place measures to try to increase those indicators of doing good business in Ghana. And I'm happy the Vice President has mentioned a few of the initiatives that they are carrying out as we speak to ensure that our environment becomes very business-friendly to attract the needed portfolio investment. Of course, that cannot happen if our capital and financial markets are not well functioning. It's important that we have well-developed capital markets. It's important that our financial markets are well-developed with a very wide spread of instruments that will help us to attract funding. Of course, and increasingly migrant remittances has also become very important. And it's another area that we can take a look at. If we can reduce the cost of sending remittances to Africa and then especially to Ghana, we should be able to raise a huge chunk of money from remittances. Apart from that, in terms of bonds, we can sell diaspora bonds to our indigenes all over the world for them to contribute to the development that is taking place at home. And in a study done by the World Bank in 2008, they mentioned that these are three alternatives that countries that are looking beyond aid could also work on to attract a lot of funding.
Now, government would on Thursday begin engaging investors over plans to issue bonds to clear debts in the energy sector. According to a statement issued by the special company set to manage the process, the engagement would start with investors in London. The following Business Desk report has more.
According to the statement, government would raise up to 6 billion cedis under the 10 billion cedi bond arrangement. It also appears government might be issuing the bonds in tranches, with the 6 billion cedis being first. The offer will open next Monday, October 23 in Accra and should be issued over a 7- and 10-year period. The statement also indicates that a special purpose company has been created called ESLA PLC, which is sponsored by the Ministry of Finance and rated by all three rating agencies, Fitch, S&P and Moody's. The offer has Standard Chartered and Fidelity Banks as managers and will be co-managed by Temple Investments and GCB. The special purpose vehicle company established, ESLA PLC, has members drawn from the Energy and Finance Ministry and accounting firm KPMG. Proceeds from the offer will be used to clear the about 2.5 billion energy sector debts. Government is planning to use part of the proceeds from the energy sector levy to settle investors who would also buy into this bond.
Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana continues its quest to sanitize the financial sector by naming and shaming. This follows the regulator's recent caution to the public on a series of activities of some financial institutions. The latest is the central bank's warning against an entity named Obuenipa Ventures Limited, believed to be operating as deposit-taking business without the requisite license. The Bank of Ghana's decision to name and caution the public from doing business with all institutions operating illegally as microfinance companies is expected to culminate in sanitizing the sector. The Ghana Association of Microfinance Companies has welcomed the move by the regulator and is certain it will restore confidence in the industry. This year alone, the Bank of Ghana has issued publications warning the public against doing business with at least 5 entities for operating illegally. They include Ponzi Scheme MMM, Hebron Financial Services, Money Doubler, Agro Development Fund Services Limited, with the latest being Obuenipa Ventures Limited. In each of these cases, the central bank argued that their operations flouted provisions of the Banks and the Specialized Deposit-Taking Institutions Act. Now, away from that, the Bank of Ghana, in collaboration with other stakeholders, is from next month expected to roll out a new strategy to effectively combat fraud in the financial sector. This follows the latest revelation that financial institutions in the country reported about 1,000 fraud cases in 2016, which amounted to over 244 million Ghana cedis. The main fraud cases reported include suppression of customer accounts by staff of financial institutions, card fraud, forgery of documents, and manipulation of accounts. This is contained in the 2016 Annual Payment System Oversight Report published by the Central Bank. National Cyber Security Advisor Albert Ntwesiako says this must, however, be put into perspective.
I think let's have the background. Why we having an increment in the kind of fraudulent cases that are being reported to the central bank, and primarily cyber-facilitated fraud. We need to look at the ecosystem. Within the last few years, what is happening within the financial sector? We got a lot of innovation in the form of digitalization, a lot of e-banking products and services. Any additional e-banking product or service which is added as a banking product, it means it's a target for a fraudster or a cyber attacker. So we should always play the statistics within those dynamics. From where I sit and my own interaction with the central bank, last week we just had a meeting before the end of the year. One of the things the central bank is doing as part of government effort is to implement a new standard, a kind of regulations that set the minimum standard for information security, of which the banks are going to, abide by. It has a huge impact on how the financial sector do their things in terms of information security best practices, the kind of systems that they need to have in place, the kind of personnel that they need to have, and the technical infrastructure that they need to have in place within the financial sector to scale up Ghana's cybersecurity. I think it's a big issue, but I might say before the end of the month, that regulation is coming. Technically, the bank is also setting up a computer emergency response team, which is a technical infrastructure that will help to monitor the threats that is going on within the banking sector. And this and other specific activities are the ongoing development to arrest the issues.
So we are certain that by the end of this month, they should come to full force.
Very, very certain. I wish you can also speak to the Bank of Ghana to confirm. But the information I receive, the briefings and the kind of engagement I have, Bank of Ghana is working actively, and I think something should be outdoors before the end of the year.
Now, the annual IMF World Bank meetings have finally come to an end in Washington, D.C. But for Ghana, the gathering was more than the usual meeting, as it took the opportunity to engage several actors on the international stage with interest in the Ghanaian economy. George Yafi has more on this.
The annual IMF meeting brought together every finance minister and central bank governor whose country is a member of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank to deliberate on several economic and financial issues and how it affects their respective economies. For Ghana, this was just more than an IMF and World Bank meetings, as they took opportunity to engage several actors, like the development partners, the rating agencies, investors in the U.S. State Department on issues that affect the economy. For many, it was indeed an interesting meeting. One can talk about the IMF report on the economy that actually forecasted almost 9% growth for Ghana. What about the fiscal report, which talked about the fact that the debt to GDP ratio, which has been the country's biggest hurdle, is going to decline to 66% from next year and even down further to 55% in the next 4 years. For some, it was an interesting meeting because Ghana also took opportunity to engage the fund on some issues that they have about the revenue. But for the IMF, it's still about the issue that Ghana needs to do more to stabilize the situation when it comes to revenue, and several fiscal reforms needs to be undertaken to put the program back on track, as was captured by the head of the African Development, Abebe Selassie, in a press conference here. Well, for the Ghana delegation, they took the opportunity to also engage other actors that have interest in the economy, like Standard Chartered Bank and even Barclays Bank as well. For the Bank of Ghana, they were also not left out. Several meetings with the International Monetary Fund on issues of balance payment support and how the program is faring and what they need to do to try and ensure that they stabilize the economy and check the amount of currency in circulation. Well, it is said that good things do not last. And from us, from a coverage perspective, it was indeed a very, very interesting meeting. Having an opportunity to engage all those global giants when it comes to economic and finance and what they have to say on the Ghanaian economy. From the Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., this is George Yafe reporting for Joy Business.
And we are still live here on the marketplace, and the Ministry of Aviation is looking to opening up the aviation industry through collaboration with the tourism sector. The move comes as the ministry forges to make Ghana an aviation hub in the sub-region. The sector minister, Cecilia Dapar, spoke to Joy Business after a meeting with officials of Turkish Airlines.
As work progressed to make Ghana an aviation hub, the meeting between Turkish Air and the ministry saw the airline pledge support for the upcoming Africa Air Show. Discussions also covered reductions in prices of airfares to support the vision of the industry. After the meeting, Minister for Aviation Cecilia Dapar spoke to Joy Business.
You know, we want to link airline business with tourism or to tourism, so that, 1.2 million passengers come to Ghana every year. How do they come in? By air. by air. That is that is not in doubt, you know, and it's very significant that we link up. I've started doing rounds with Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, and we mean to have a joint committee, permanent joint committee, to look at all these areas. You know, I've had an audit of the airports, airstrips, and helipads in Ghana, so we have a big view that we are using as to make sure each region is opened up.
On his part, country manager for Turkish Airlines was optimistic about making more gains in the Ghanaian market, as he describes the business environment as conducive.
The aviation industry is increasing, especially here in Ghana, outbound and inbound. Then that's why we increase our passengers, and everybody is increasing their passengers, and everybody is happy, I think, here in Ghana. That's why we would like to increase our passengers. We will increase our capacity. So I can tell you we are very happy.
Sheila Tamaklo reporting for Joy Business.
Our Regional Senior Vice President, Africa Operations of Newmont, Alwyn Pistorius, has declared his support for the multilateral integrated mining project put in place by government to provide alternative livelihoods for people affected by the fight against illegal mining activities, also known as Galamsey. Newmont Ghana is yet to get several illegal miners off its concessions, even though the company says it has not been affected significantly by the menace. In an interview with Joy Business after a maiden stakeholder meeting in Accra, Alwyn Pistorius revealed plans by Newmont to also pursue its own strategy to enhance livelihoods of victims displaced by the fight.
We are experiencing illegal mining activities around our operations, on our concession and also outside of our concession. We haven't experienced a big impact on our operations. The strategy that we are following, first of all, is to remove, with the law enforcement agencies, to remove the illegal miners from our concession areas in a responsible way. We are subscribers to the voluntary principles for security and human rights. And secondly, we're working at our strategy of creating alternative livelihoods. We support the strategy of the government and specifically the MMIP and also the work that the Vanguard unit is doing. We do see between 10 to 12 incidents per month on our operations. So these incidents range from illegal, artisanal small-scale miners digging holes to take out ore, and also theft of diesel fuel and pumps, for example, from our mine to support the illegal mining activities.
No. Let's take a quick breather here. We'll be right back after this. You're welcome back. Now, if you've had an ATM fail you, then you should know how frustrating it is. That was the experience that birthed ZPay, the mobile payment app developed by entrepreneur Andrew Techiapia. The mobile financial service firm has risen to become the #1 startup in the country. The Joy Business van is at the airport residential area here in Accra. Here, the success story. Let's have a bit of it.
This Wednesday on the Joy Business van, the entrepreneur behind ZPay, the mobile money app for retail payments.
5 years ago, when I told the world that, look, the only way you can make mobile wallets transactional is to use a near-field communication, NFC technology, everybody laughed. But today all the big players are on it.
Andrew Techiapia speaks about his excelling mobile financial services company and what it takes to be #1. The Joy Business van, on TV, radio, online and on the ground. Empowered by Joy Business and supported by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Get the full story on Business Live tonight. Now, in many hotels, all you need to do is to dream, and it can be done. From helicopter services to the best wine from any part of the world. Boutique hotels can go as far as painting your rooms to suit your taste. However, with all these personalized services, these hotels could get very low star ratings because facilities like swimming pools do not exist. Udilia in Tiamwa and Pearl Domi visited Villa Monticello, the boutique hotel sweeping all the international awards, but do not have a 5-star hotel.
For all those times you stood.
Also, if you ever traveled around the world thinking of anything luxurious, well, sometimes do not be deceived by the size, because luxury is actually not in the size. It's actually in the attention for detail. So boutique hotels pay attention to detail. They have that culture. Can you just imagine you enter into the hotel reception and everybody knows your name already? And if you want even things that you cannot imagine, like a helicopter service, they can give it to you at a boutique hotel. So if you're also thinking of getting that wine from any part of the world that is that expensive just for that particular guest, that is a game changer. You can't think of it from, well, boutique hotels. Welcome to Villa Monticello.
Boutique hotels are squeezed but could pass for the kind of luxury rich people are looking for at home. Villa Monticello, established 6 years ago, has won the World Travel Awards 4 times continuously. At the reception, there's no space for all the awards. Per what boutique hotels are typically small with 10 to 100 rooms, intimate in scale, creating the ambience of being a personal guest in a private home rather than just a hotel occupant. They often have communal living spaces where guests can interact. But the luxury starts right before the staircase, where the wine cellar is perched. From here, we are told wine that could cost as much as 5,000 Ghana cedis is imported for guests. What makes it boutique is that guests who do not use the hotel can have the wine or other gifts delivered to them at home. At the hallway, pictures from different cultures and backgrounds greet you. A blend of the old and new, trendy and old-fashioned are what we find of their clients. The names are simply breathtaking. Eclectic Soho, for example. This suite has currently swept all the Ghana awards at the World, which here.
Tell me about this awards. How did you win it? How did this particular suite get to win the award?
Oh, I'd like you to take a look around. Look at the suite. Get a feel for it. I think when you look at it, it's fun. It's clean. There's hygiene. The comfort is evidently there. So we've gone to great lengths to put this suite together.
The exciting thing about the whole thing is the fact that you don't even know that your peers are around. Tell us about that.
Yes. So what happens is the industry is very big, as you know, and these awards, they help us to gauge how we are delivering. And it helps us to gauge our product and the service. So it is among us as peers in the industry to help each other. And that's what the whole process of the World Travel Awards is. We then gauge each other, we measure each other, and we give each other feedback.
The Kwame Nkrumah Suite and Nelson Mandela are the most expensive, going for $1,000. But apart from the quality of room, out of the world services like helicopter services could be given.
We get requests for helicopter charter. You know, these things they're not on the list, but as they come, make it happen for our guests.
However, there are several challenges that boutique hotels face in Ghana.
I think with the policy, there hasn't been any review or update on it the past 50 years because things have happened. The hospitality industry in Ghana has evolved. Some few years back, there was nothing like the boutique. So it's about time these institutions and authorities revisited certain policies they have. Yeah, if they did that, I think the industry will thrive more.
The Ghana Tourism Authority identifies with the problem.
We are looking at ways to have a separate classification for boutique hotels because they are more customized to the needs of people coming in, and they are very, very specific to their services that they offer and render. And so it's something that is work in progress. But up to now, what we do is to do the same classification that we have for general hotels.
But the tourism industry in Ghana faces even more challenges. Currently, inspections are done only once a year.
And that wraps up this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace. Make a date shortly at 5 p.m. for more business news updates. My name is Emmanuel Abwaji. Thanks for watching and good afternoon.